right? This is from, I don't know the person it's from, but this is from a PhD in law.
Right.
So they're doing a PhD in law.
I'm already known.
So this is a bit out of our realm, but it's in our, you can answer it.
Right, go on.
OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 passed the law bar exam with a result in the 90th percentile.
Yeah.
Will ChatGPT cause a very serious disruption in tech and education going forward? I'm worried.
Already has done.
It already has done.
Of course it has. You've got institutions fucking sitting there going, it's going to change. Like, this type of tech has already changed everything.
Yeah.
So, like, should you be worried? But then there is the question. Because there's two questions in that one question. Will it change it? Obviously. Because it already has done.
It already has, yeah.
And
well, how is it changing it?
Like, for example...
What do you mean by it already has done?
So education, people can just take the piss with it and just get it to write whatever they want. It changes the way... So, for example, I was, just from my own example, I was using the one on Bing the other day to learn...
Fuck Bing.
to learn, because that uses GPT-4.
Yeah,
so I was using it basically to learn how to do... Not learn, but I was like, I needed to do a scatter plot where each of the markers was a pie chart representing other stuff. No idea how to do that.
ChatGPT.
So I sat there with it for like a couple of hours, just gone back and forth. I'd get the code, test it, no, it doesn't work, boom, boom. Right, in 2 hours, I had the basis of something which I couldn't get any more out of ChatGPT than it took me to figure. Yeah. But then the problem is the basis took me 2 hours, and then to get something I wanted took me like the next day and a half, because it was like, it's not a done thing, it's quite fiddly.
Yeah, so ChatGPT got you 30% of the way, 40%.
I'd say even more than that, it got me like 60, 70% of the way there, 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
It's that last bit. So it's changing the way, for example, people learn.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to go scour and do the click yourself. It can write stuff for you. It can do the tedious stuff for you, like I hot desking a solicitors, and I showed it one of them. They were like, well, what can it do? And I went, what's a ridiculous, tedious email you write? That's pretty much the same every time. They said, typed it in the prompt.
Bang, come out.
There's a tedious email, copy and paste.
And I've seen that now, like, they want to employ prompt engineers
but then
they just know how to ask. They mightn't even need to be coders. They just know how to ask the best questions to get the most out of these softwares. But the thing is, the
fact you need prompt engineers shows that you shouldn't be worried as of yet.
But you still need a human to fuck with it.
Well, you need a prompt engineer. It's not that good.
Yeah.
Like, it's good.
But they'd have to read your fucking mind, wouldn't it, if you didn't have a prompt?
No, but I mean, like, it's not good enough.
Even speech is a prompt, you know what I mean?
No, but what I'm trying to say is, like, prompt engineers, it's not just me putting a prompt in.
Yeah.
Prompt engineers are people who know what buzzwords and what ways to
put in,
Like, it's a skill in itself, but the fact you need to have a skill to get the best stuff out highlights in itself that it's not quite there yet.
It's almost closing down the coder's job, but then saying there's this new avenue of prompt engineers here.
But it's not, though, because the problem with coders, as I've just said then, it teaches you a lot of what you need, the basics, but you've still got to know how to...
I don't think I've used it yet where I've asked it a question and I've been able to pull the code and it's ran with like a little adjustments. It's needed me to spend at least 20-30 minutes further adjusting.
So I'll say
then it's ran.
So I'll say just give me something that does this generic purpose.
Yeah.
And then I'll tailor it. But then to answer, so basically, is it changing everything? Yes, I think it's already there. And it's going to continue to change stuff.
Yeah. Should
you be scared? Probably not. I mean, yes, but also no.
And have they got to worry about... The question was, it passed... We're not law students, but it passed the bar exam. And I know that's quite a high exam, but isn't the bar's not in a controlled environment at all?
Yeah, but then law in itself is such a nuanced thing. Like, can it... So law is reading between the lines, reading how things are interpreted, interpreting things in a way that it
must have been able to do that though, because it passed the exam.
I don't know what the bar exam looks like though. So
I think it's a high up exam, the bar.
Oh yeah, I know it is, but what I'm trying to say is I don't know whether it's like... No, so what I'm saying is it won't say, here's a law, find a unique interpretation of this law no one's ever found before. That's where your top solicitors come in.
Yeah.
And stuff
that's
like
where
that.
the fucking... Yeah, it'll fall over.
And like, so my girlfriend, she's trained to be a solicitor. I asked her stuff, I went, ask me some questions, and she said, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, so it's fallen over.
It's not perfect.
So we can get through an exam because sort of the parameters of the bars existed for a long time, and there's loads of materials online on it.
Past exams.
Yeah, there's past exams.
So it's one of them, like, but it's like the thing, it's past the bar exam in the top 10%. it could also probably pass a lot of coding exams in the top 10%.
But isn't that a worry then, lads? I suppose in her question is she's a PhD student in law, but I don't know whether she's going to take that after a PhD or before. I'm not sure how law works, but how do you then, like, that exam usually sorts out the chaff from, like, the strong? How, if everyone's sort of, before they've went in, done a practice one with ChatGPT, got it to spit all the answers, and then regurgitates it the next morning, like, how do you then start? Like, she must be saying, like, I'm worried that now everyone's just going to pass because they've got materials and that.
But that's
We've stumped them.
No, because when you think about it, that's not a problem for the students. It's a problem for the bar.
Yeah, but I think she's saying, like, if I'm a good student, how is anyone ever going to know?
I interpreted
I
interpreted that as, should I be worried about my career in law, or
you don't think
a career in law? No.
If she's a good lawyer, she's all right.
Not even that. It's just I don't like. So OpenAI eventually, they're like that. What's his name? Sam Altman. I think that's his name. The guy. I was listening to one of his things, and he was like, what he thinks in the future is going to be loads of, like, huge generative models, and then people will use that generative model and, like, hyper train it, you know, like, in a very hyper specific area. Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll take this specific model, get law data, and then fine tune it on law data. So then you'll have, like, law GPT.
Yeah.
Right. Then we're talking about, like, it may be able to do really good things in the future. But the problem is solicitors, when you get into, like, the actual data they run in as solicitors, fucking most of them still use paper and paper filings.
Yeah, lads, and everything's on paper, and lads.
So we're really in a situation where if solicitors don't even use, like, basic IT, when they're not going to be running
it's
out
like
now.
An invasion of privacy, and it to be connected to, like, say, you've got to have, like, a paper document to certain things, haven't you?
Like, it's all got to be done. Like, so it's yes and no. I don't think it's going to change. I think, could it change the way like law firms work, potentially? Especially some of the big ones. You've got the infrastructure and resource to kind of adapt it, and then say someone does this specific law model, because a lot of law documents are not on the internet. They're in, like, private databases, like Scopus and stuff like that. So you'd have to have one trained on this private stuff anyway. Who's going to pay for that? Yeah. So
don't worry
about it. And then if you do have to worry about it, just
change career.
Don't worry about it. Just get pissed.
Just get pissed.